Real Dad Talk, episode 76, Fatherhood.
What's up, boys?
What's going on?
Different setting today.
Very different setting. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, man. Good. Crazy day. Sure it's going to be a crazy evening by the time we get home.
Yeah.
With them little ones.
Alex, thank you for having us.
Thank you guys for coming.
Alex Gintani, he's our guest this evening. And as you can see, it's a nice background behind us.
It's not a photo.
So yeah, how's everyone's day?
Hectic. As usual, like all the time.
Yes. So, Alex, so Real Dad Talk, we sit here and we talk about being a dad. You know what I mean? We don't, like we always say, we don't sit around the coffee table like the moms do and chop it up that way. So we figured we do this because then the dads get to vent a little bit and get to share, and hopefully our listeners pick up a couple nuggets here and there from Alex today, and we'll go from there.
So we go right to it. What's your dad's stats? How many kids?
2 kids.
That you know of.
Two kids.
What's their ages?
First one is 5. His name is Vinny. And the little guy is going to be 7 weeks old, and his name is Luca.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Cool.
Congratulations. That's
Quite
awesome.
a difference between the two of them, huh?
Yeah, man, 5 years.
Was that planned?
Kind of.
Okay, cool.
Kind of.
At least you're going to get a little bit of help from Vinny.
Yeah.
Or Vinny doesn't get in the way when you're dealing with the little one.
Exactly. That's how it's kind of working out. It's a little better, I think, in my opinion. I've always wanted a good gap between them. That's how me and my brother have been. So
Awesome.
So you have one brother.
yeah, I have an older brother. He's
And
5 years older than me.
So it's similar age group.
Exactly.
Wow.
Same
Okay.
difference
All right. Very
between
cool.
My 2 sons. So
Very cool.
it's pretty cool.
So what's your day job? I'm kind of looking at these cars in the background.
So I own a exotic car performance shop. So we manufacture and engineer parts, and we do all the software calibration for exotics like Ferraris, McLarens, Lamborghinis, Porsches, and so on.
So you have your own product?
We make our own product, yeah. So we have a full CNC machine shop, and then we have a full wind tunnel dyno room, which after we develop all the hardware, we obviously install it on the car, and then we need to do the software to match the hardware in order to get the cars to run.
Where do you guys do all this?
Yeah, so I got 2 shops. One is in Van Nuys, like Sherman Oaks area, which we've been there for about 20 years now. We've had a couple shops previous to that, obviously, but that's the shop that we bought 20 years ago, the land. We outgrew it, and we have other plans for that. So we recently just built a new shop in Simi Valley. So the Van Nuys shop for now is the machine shop where all the CNC machines are. So all the CNC cutting and all the stuff like that happens
What
there.
does CNC stand for?
It's so CNC. What does it stand for?
I know.
So CNC machines are big automated machines, which are like basically robotic arms that come down and get big chunks of aluminum, steel, titanium, whatever it is, and then you draw everything in CAD, and then from CAD you send it to another program, which is like Mastercam, and then you do all the programming for the machine, feed the part into the machine, and then it's got a bunch of end mills and stuff like that. It comes down and then cuts whatever part that we're making out of a big chunk of aluminum or whatever material that we're using.
Okay.
Yeah.
More than I thought I was going to get when I asked for CNC.
So, I mean, it starts from huge chunks from nothing to creating a part. So
Got it.
So
I was going to say with Vinny, do you remember when Vinny was 6, 7 weeks old?
yeah, I actually do.
And how is it different?
I mean,
Is it like a second go around?
I mean, it's
easier on them.
Nah, it's all over again, man. After 5 years, like you forget what it's like. So it's like starting all over again, you know? Obviously the basics, you know. I mean, to me, raising a kid or even a baby is not that big of a deal. As a husband, if you're there for your wife and you help her out through, you know, the nights and whatever, you can't leave it all on them. If you do that, then you're gonna have problems, obviously. So just, you know, all they do is shit, sleep, and eat, right? So if you got those 3 things down and you can help out doing those things, it's pretty simple. I mean, obviously it's a baby. He's going to whine. You're going to deal with gas problems and this and that or whatever it is. But it's life, man. You got to do what you got to do, right?
The second time around is definitely must be easier because the surprises that you had with the first one is not like a surprise anymore. You're like, okay, at least I went through
Maybe
this.
not easier. It's more familiar.
Yeah, it's more familiar. I mean, obviously, the first time you have a kid, you have no idea what you're doing.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you got no clue. So you're always relying on asking the parents or whatever, trying to figure stuff out. Second time having a 5-year-old going through all this stuff, yes, it is easier. But it is a big change after not having a kid for 5 years.
Well, now that with all the cars, your line of work, does your son have an interest in it? Or say, hey, Dad, this is so cool. Like this, like does he take a major interest in it?
I mean, if you ask anybody, I've been, me and my son Vinny are extremely close. He's like literally tied to my hip. So since he was born, like the second he was born, I kept telling my wife, like, I go to all these events on the weekends. I take the cars out. I couldn't wait to put him in a car. So I was probably the only crazy person in the world that took a 1-year-old, bought a Recaro seat from Germany because they don't sell it
Do
here.
these things have room for a car seat?
He sits in the front.
Oh,
So
okay.
what happens is on these cars, when you put a car seat in there, the sensors on the seat automatically know that there is a car seat on there.
Okay.
So it shuts off the airbag. So legally, you could put a kid in the front as long as the airbag is off.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So my wife was gratefully, cool enough to let me do what I wanted to do because
Right.
I always wanted to take my son everywhere with me. So Vinny literally grew up from, I don't know, a year and a half till today. He's been in the driver's seat with me, in the passenger seat with me. He's gone through every event. I've taken him to track events. I've taken him to all the car shows and everything, to the point where he was more well known than I was. At a point where we roll up, people would ask me, where is Vinny? He's been friends with Jay Leno.
That's awesome.
Yeah, everybody knows him. So
And every dad has an opportunity to connect with their child in a different way,
Yeah.
and it leaves an impression on them, and it carries with them, and they always have something to remember them by, and I can't help but notice the face that's on your arm, the tattoo. Who is that?
That's my grandfather. That's my mom's dad.
Okay.
Who's basically my idol.
Okay.
And he's actually a very special person. Very hard to find somebody like him. He came here in '79 with my parents. My mom was 78. My mom was pregnant with my brother, actually. Moved down here. He was a very big jeweler. And my parents are from Istanbul. They were born and raised there. My grandpa was a very well-known jeweler in the Grand Bazaar over there, Kapalı Çarşı, as they call it. And they decided to move down here, and he did a lot of wonderful stuff. And he was actually one of the founders of St. Vincent's Jewelry Center, which is the world's, or the U.S.'s second largest jewelry center. And he basically came down here, found it, and they bought it with like 5 partners. So,
being a dad is generational.
Yeah.
And when you have fathers that you either idolize, you follow their steps, or unfortunately, there's fathers out there who aren't the greatest example for their children. And, hopefully, some of the times, the children identify with that and they want to do things differently.
Yeah.
Right? But in your case, you have a memory of your grandfather literally on your body, which now makes me think, what's the relationship with your father? Because if your connection with your grandfather is so large, how is it with dad?
So, if there's any 2 people in this world that I would have on my body, it would be my grandfather and my dad.
I love it. What do you think your father emulated from grandpa? And what is it that you're doing with Vinny that your father did with you?
Let's start off with my grandpa. My grandpa was 1 in a million. If you ask anybody who knows my grandpa, they could tell you all kinds of crazy stories. He was a visionary. He never thought that he can't do anything. He could, if he put something in his mind, it was going to get done. So I watched him growing up pull off ridiculous stuff. And the crazy part is that my grandfather is actually my mom's dad. And my dad was so close to him that he was basically like his own father. And they grew up together like father and son.
And that's very rare.
Very rare. We lost my uncle when, his son, we lost him when he was younger. And my grandparents have literally lived with my parents since the day they were married. So my dad's relationship with my grandfather was unbelievable. And the way my grandfather looked at my dad and trusted in my dad, just showed me a vision of what I wanted to be growing up. You know, I want my dad to feel the same way about me when, God forbid, one day he leaves us with whatever it is. He knows that, you know, it's going to be taken care of just like he did for my grandfather.
So we know the connection that you've created with Vinny. It's the cars, right?
Yeah, cars, basketball, soccer.
All of that
It's
stuff.
like
Awesome.
nonstop, man.
So what was the connection, or what is the connection between you and your father?
Honestly, very hard to find someone like my father. My father was a ridiculously hard worker. I mean, we grew up with my father traveling and taking 24-hour flights to spend one day in Hong Kong and stuff, do his business and fly back. And he would do everything possible to make it back in time to be there for me and my brother for our basketball games, whatever. We had all my car stuff that I wanted to do. He was my number one supporter when it came down to the fact that I didn't want to follow the family business. A lot of people always force their kids to follow what they're doing.
Yes.
And my dad never did that. He wanted me to have find myself, have my own vision, and he always trusted in me. So he always knew that no matter how many ups and downs I would go through, that I would make it. Obviously, he would support me through it, and the support that my dad has given me and my brother and what he's done for us is unreal. So,
has that relationship always been like good, even in your teenage years when you're?
Yeah, man. I mean, me and my brother were wild, dude. And you know, my dad was, you know, always there for us.
Tolerant.
Not only tolerant, he was. Listen, we had everything growing up. We're very lucky, you know, and we respect that and we appreciate that. But just because we had everything growing up, my dad would make sure to, you know, show us how respectful you got to be, how you got to understand how it takes to get somewhere.
Sure.
And he would teach us stuff. He would teach us lessons, even by the way he would maybe, you know, I would do something bad, and that Sunday he would tell me, hey, let's go to the, you know, car wash, get the cars detailed, and he'd drive me to the car wash with my car. We'd go and get the whole car detailed, and we'd spend time together laughing, this and that, knowing that I've done something bad or I've been bad in school.
We'll try to mix it up a little.
He'd mix it up, and then we'd get home, and then he'd tell me, go park your car in the garage. And he put my car in the garage and he put a cover on it. And then he would say, give me your keys. And he'd take my keys and he'd be like, okay, for the next, you know, month, you're driving the 1979 Cadillac. You know what I mean?
So that actually brings up a good point.
That's great.
Yeah. So you'd make that thing shine, look amazing.
And then
I'm dying to go out that night. And then he's like, here you go, 1979 Cadillac, bro. Go have fun with the hoopty. You know what I'm saying?
So that brings up a learning possibility that you got to pick your battles, right? And you got to find the right time, because it sounds like what Dad did was that he kind of make you sulk in that guilt. You knew it was coming.
Oh yeah,
you just didn't know when it was coming and how it's going to.
Well, that's beautiful. Like, say that's psychological warfare right there. That's
big
like
time.
Yeah, that's why
brilliant.
It is brilliant. This day and age, I'm taking notes right now. I'm gonna definitely do something like this, because like. With me growing up, my dad constantly traveled, so he was barely around the house.
Yes,
but you know, it's tough because you know you need that father figure, but still the strong-spirited dads out there, even the old school dads, still made sure they got their point across, like he did. You know, like that's something you learn. You're like, from that, you're like, okay, I'm not going to do that again, because I just learned a valuable lesson. I'm gonna drive down the Cadillac instead of the car that I just, you know, which is flawless. You know, so. That's awesome. I mean, to have a dad that, you know, this day and age, we're all trying to be parents that are, you know, that's going to, you know, put that seed in your kid that's going to forever guide them the way in life. Yeah. But in this day and age, they're so distracted with all that's going on. So I always say the old school way of raising kids was a lot better. Now it's just like kids.
Well, the kids are around the parents. Were around the parents more.
All the time.
Right? The children weren't, like you were saying, distracted. They weren't in their rooms, on their electronics, whatever it is. You sat down, you had dinner together at the dinner table. You know, Sunday mornings, you went to breakfast or you went to church or whatever routine you had.
It would be church was the routine growing up.
Right.
Like every Sunday, like there was no excuse. Even everyone else would be like, no, I don't want to go. Church was like, my dad was like, we're going. Like we wouldn't miss, even in the summertime, we'd go to church. That was the craziest part. I was like, it's August, we're going to church. You know?
Yeah, you're like, I'm on summer break, dude. I don't get summer break from church,
because there's no Sunday school, right? So you're like, that means I got to be in church for the whole hour and a half, you know, during the sermon. So it's, I mean, you're talking about, those are things that us on this table acknowledge and makes us who we are, the dads we are, the men we are. And if we can make that same impact, that's what we're trying for our kids to 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, be like, you know what? My dad really taught me something that day. They taught me a valuable lesson that I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do this because he really, like, he's thinking 5 steps ahead instead of the next step. So,
but see, what Alex is describing is that his father, I don't know what went down, but it seems like he had the right balance of nurturing, supporting, being loving, and then there's the other side of it. And with me, in my case, it was, okay, you're gonna come at me this way, you're gonna upset me, I know I messed up, I don't like what I'm hearing, but I'm still listening. And why am I listening? I'm listening because I know it's coming from a good place, right? He comes at me hard, but he also loves me hard, you know? And because of that, there's that balance where you still have your child's attention. That child hasn't shunned you off mentally, emotionally, you know? And it sounds like you had that with your dad.
Yeah. We had a lot of that, man. We had a lot of that. I mean, I don't know, man. I've gone through a lot, especially, you know, growing up. We've gone through a lot with my brother. We've done a lot of crazy stuff. He's always, you know, been there, supported us, and taught us. Plus, with my business, I've been through hell and back. And I mean, if it wasn't for my dad, I would never be where I am today.
You know, you always want to. We always say we're not telling them what to do, but we want them to know what we think is a way to approach life. But for them to always know that you're going to be there, right? They fall down, you're there to help them get up. Not pick them up, but help them get up. So when I'm doing stuff with my girls, it's not doing it for them, right? It's kind of like when you want an answer from them, or you ask them a question, you don't give them the answer, because then what did you do? They're just mimicking you. But you give them clues, right? That's helping them think, process. And that's what I'm hoping they're going to do with their children.
I don't know. These days, I'm giving answers, man. They're asking questions.
Those are commands, bro.
No. These days they have questions, and I gotta be
crazy.
There you go.
Who is it? My dad.
Call him.
That's awesome.
Call him.
Oh my God, this guy. Well, if I pick up this phone call, we're on here for an hour.
Well, tell him what we're doing.
Dad, we're in the middle of recording a podcast. We're talking about you. I'll call you back later. My dad has 2 brothers. So my dad's the middle brother, and he has his older brother and his younger brother. His younger brother lives here in LA, obviously. They're partners in the business. And his older brother's still in Turkey. And the craziest part about these guys is, even at this age, my dad's 72 years old, and they're literally tied from the hip, man. Every morning, 7 a.m., I'm not bullshitting you guys. These guys get into a car together, my uncle and my dad, and the first thing they do is their phone
call
rings.
Their other brother?
Dude, 7 a.m., bro, their phone rings. I'm getting chills when I tell you guys this. Their phone rings, it's FaceTime. It's my uncle from Turkey. All the way, the drive from Porter Ranch to downtown, they talk to my uncle. They go to work, they finish work. We'll go home to my dad's house for dinner, let's say. Bro, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, boom, my uncle's calling again.
I'm not there, but I'm there.
They're there. They're like together. No matter if he's on the other side of the world, it's like that connection that they have. That's what they've taught us.
But you and your brother see this, so
dude, me and my brother are like that. Yeah.
That's what I was just
saying. We'll get into my brother. Yeah. My brother is one in a million. Dude.
So hold on. So do you and your brother have real dad talk conversations?
Yeah, me and my brother talk all the time. I mean, me and my brother are in business together. We do a lot of stuff together. My brother was, me being 5 years younger than my brother. Honestly, like I grew up getting my ass kicked by these guys.
Sure.
Which turned me into the man I am today.
Right.
He taught me, but my brother was really cool. Like I told Vinny the other day, I'm like, listen, you guys are 5 years apart. So when you turn 16, the day you turn 21, your brother's going to turn 16.
Yeah, he's going to the club with him.
And I go, listen, you got to do what Uncle Arno did for me. The day you do that, you have a spare ID. You walk up to your little brother and say, hey, here, little guy. Now you're 21. Be responsible, and we're going to do this together. You know what I mean? That's what my brother did for me.
Dude, that's exactly how it was with Stefan. My brother knew my driver's license. He had it memorized better than I did. So he's out driving around. He's like, oh, pulls him over. What's your name? Chris Bojalian. And guess what? I'm sitting next to him. What's your driver? Oh, you know, he goes, I don't have my driver's license on me. He goes, okay. He goes, but I know the number. He goes, okay. He goes, what is it? Well, I'm not going to say it on camera, but he gives the driver's license. Cop's like, get your brother home safe. Drive safely. Yeah. So I hear you when you're talking about you and your brother, and hopefully what Vinny has with
I hope they have that, because my brother, man, the day I turned 16, he handed me that thing, and he was like, go have fun. I started going to Vegas and, you know, doing whatever I was doing at 16 years old. So by the time I was 21, I was I got bored. I got bored, you know what I mean? But having a brother like that who's, you know, let me do everything with them, hang out with all his friends, even though they used to beat my ass.
Sure.
Now, today, it's crazy because the way I grew up with them and the amount of time I spent with them, I never got along with people that were my age. Mm-hmm. And today, my brother's best friends are my best friends. So I hang out with all my brother's friends. That's the craziest part. Like, my closest friends are my brother's friends. And every week I'm with them. Every weekend I'm with them. And it's just like, you know, it matured me really quick. So
right.
I've always been like 5 years ahead with maturity, because that's how I was raised, and that was thanks to my brother.
I mean, that's a blessing right there, because my younger brother is that's the same situation. I have an older brother and a younger brother, but more for my younger brother. My younger brother was 4 years younger than me, so he was friends with all my friends, and yeah. So growing up with my brother, same thing. You know, anytime he wanted to go out, I couldn't say no to him. I'd be like, hey, come out with us, and of course, we'd help him get into the bar or club. But it's a beautiful thing having that relationship with your brother, you know? And I think it makes us smarter parents, because I feel like we've been around the block a couple of times. We've seen it all. So whenever, you know, our kids get to that age, we're kind of more obvious. We're smarter about it.
Our parents coming in as first generation, I mean, at least my parents were first generation over here, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And I think, like, with us growing up with them and the stuff we got away with, like, they had no idea. Like, they
had an idea,
bro, but nowhere close to the idea we have now. Like, I don't think that our kids could get away with as much as.
Oh, we're tracking them.
Yeah, there's no way they're gonna. It's not only that, bro. Like, we've done so much growing up. We've obviously tried all kinds of different things, and you know, with these kids growing up and getting older, they're obviously going to be able to try these kind of things. Sure. We got to watch out for them and watch what they're getting into. But it's like,
I don't know where you're going at with this one.
Yeah, bro. Like, that ain't going to really fly like if it did with our parents. Sure. Like, you walk in, I know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, we're the eyes in the sky in a different way now. Like, we know what it's like going out, or, you know,
I'm sure they'll come up with some new creative ways.
There's going to be new ways, but yeah, we have the gist of it. Even if they switch up the game a little bit with technology and whatever it may be, I mean, we know what's going on. We're not stupid to it. We're not oblivious to it.
So there's fun times with dad. There's sad times with dad. There's discipline. There's spoiling. On the discipline side, and I'm asking this because we're all going to come across this at some point with our kids, where we know we got to draw the line. We know we got to make sure he understands or she understands consequences, but we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's like the hardest
part. And have you had, well, I'm not going to say have you had, I'm sure you had. What's the one incident that comes to your mind where you knew your dad is hating doing this, but he's got to do it because he loves you?
I mean, I'll never forget. Like, my dad was never aggressive with us in any way. You know, a lot of Middle Eastern dads, you know how it is. Like,
it's a stereotype.
You know, whatever. My dad wasn't really like that with us, but I'll never forget. I was, like 15 years old or something like that, and I was in the bathroom and we had this door that would open up to the backyard to the bathroom, and they were inside having dinner, and I'm like, yeah, they have no idea what I'm doing here. So I was sitting in the bathroom having a cigarette, you know, just smoking.
They're gonna smell it.
Well, stupid kid, you know, just sitting there smoking, hanging out on the phone, girlfriend, this, that, you know.
Lord.
I think the door's open, blowing it out, whatever, this, that. And my dad never snapped, bro. Never snapped. But like, boy, that day.
He snapped.
Oh, dude, that day he snapped. He snapped. I mean, it was the only time I've seen my dad snap like that. And it was crazy because he never did that to us. You know what I mean? So literally for like almost a week, he felt so bad snapping like that he didn't even like talk to me. He couldn't even look at me. You know what I mean? But that was like one day that I'll never forget.
But it stayed with you, though,
It
right?
stayed with me.
You didn't want to disappoint him. You're like, man,
No, I was
this
like,
guy's
man,
so good to me.
I'm an idiot, dude.
He
Like,
gives me the Cadillac and I messed up right.
it's like, you moron, walk out, go down the street, do it,
man.
and come back. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's one thing. You know, that's
But we've all been there. I mean,
Yeah.
as kids, teenagers. I mean, it wasn't easy for any of us, and you know, we thought we were a little bit smarter, and you know, we
100%.
100%. We're
I mean,
smarter than anybody.
we knew.
But coming in smelling like Drakkar Noir and Listerine didn't always help either.
Drakkar Noir,
so
Drakkar Noir, Listerine, Clear Eyes, whatever. Anything.
So we had a beauty salon. The family had a beauty salon, and my greatest times was when like the Sebastian rep, the Paul Mitchell rep, the Tony and Guy rep, and they were always beautiful women. They come in to take orders, and I'm there, you know, trying to talk to them and stuff. And then we had the Long Beach Hair Show, right? So we get a van.
Awkward, huh? Long Beach Hair Show. There's no hair.
Right. Oh, there was hair before, none now. So we go to Long Beach Hair Show, and I'm walking around, and there's this ear piercing boutique. I'm like, you know what?
You gotta pill Prince Albert, huh?
I'm gonna do it. No. So I'm the one driving the van, and it takes time for that, you know, whole to heal. You got to keep it on for a certain amount of time. I'm like, you know what? I think I can cover this up. I'm the driver, so I'm gonna pierce my left ear. So I got the window here, mom's sitting over here. I'm okay there. The rest of the time I go. So I had that on. We'd go out. I'd wear it during the day, and I'd always remember to take it off. So this one night, we came home, had a great time. I didn't remember to take it off.
You had a great time.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm in bed, and it just so happened I'm sleeping on my right side without the comforter fully covering, with this earring completely exposed. And Dad always came in, you know, just to say, what's up, good morning, this, that. I woke up to a rude, he literally grabbed that earring off my ear and yanked it off.
It's hardcore.
And I heard so much, so early in the morning, with such a headache, with his voice on top of it. And I was like, there's going to come a time where dads are going to know, moms are going to know, you kid, you got to maintain their confidence, I think, in my opinion. Keep an open channel of communication, because we're going to mess up. We're not always going to do the quote-unquote right thing.
Nobody's ever
But,
going to do
Right, but
like,
we're going to want the kids
but we're
to
all
still listen.
But we're all there before.
Yeah,
It's not like our kids are not gonna try. You know, they're gonna try, man. Especially when they're in.
But how are you going to handle it, is what I'm saying.
That's tough.
You gotta handle it, but you gotta, bro. Everybody's, you know, there's ways to handle it. Obviously,
Sure.
I mean, look at me. You think my parents are
Happy with that?
Yeah. You think they were like, oh yeah, just go get your whole arm blasted or
Right.
whatever it is. You know what I mean? No, but I mean, at a point with certain stuff, like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
They're going to do it no
Yeah,
matter
they're
what.
gonna do it no matter
Okay,
They're
but
gonna
it
do
all,
it.
it all comes down to how are we gonna react?
How are we going to respond, not react?
Respond,
React
okay.
is emotional.
I think if you
Respond.
respond aggressively and react like out of control, like, I think it's even worse.
You've lost them.
You've
Yeah,
lost
you've
them.
lost
It's done. There's no point. At that point, the kid is never going to be comfortable with you again, man.
Right.
And
But we're not here to be their friends.
Yeah.
You know,
We're not, but-
especially at this age. My son's becoming a teenager, he doesn't want to be my friend anymore. I get it.
You're in a different scenario. I don't know where that
it's
is
like,
at,
and we're boys back, back 2 years ago, we're boys, but now he's teenagers. So now I'm gonna be, especially monitoring things. There's a lot going on, and kind of if I'm half asleep one day, something to kind of go underneath, this,
Sure.
So
well, the time that we live in now, and the time that they live in now, and all the access they have to everything, especially when it comes down to social media, it's absolutely.
It scares the crap out of me.
It's a lot harder for us, in my opinion, when it comes down to stuff like that than it was for our parents.
Sure.
Like,
in that sense, yes.
The kids are exposed to so much more now.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So we live in a very weird time.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's going to be harder for us than it was for our parents.
So your brother has kids?
My brother has 2 kids, yeah.
Around the same age or a little older?
One is 13, he's going to be 14.
And that's
so his kids kind of look, like because they're much older. They're kind of like
they take care of my kids.
I was gonna say
that's awesome.
Hopefully they're going to be babysitters.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Hey,
yeah,
I would cash in right there.
Yeah, that's like I got like two more years or whatever left for Nico to drive, and then that's it. I'm chilling, bro. They better be here on the weekends taking care of these 2 while I'm out. Having a good time with my wife.
We thought we were gonna do stuff when we got the keys. It's like, oh, go to the grocery store. We need milk, we need bread, we need eggs, whatever it is. Go to Danny's Market, pick up 5 pounds of filet for me.
Yeah, but this day and age, a lot of these high schoolers don't even want to drive. They're like holding off getting their licenses.
Dude,
I don't understand
that.
Because
they're Ubering it.
Dude, that's something that's so weird for me. I mean, especially me being a car guy.
You're dying to get in the car.
Bro, these kids are Ubering. Like, bro, who doesn't want to? I was itching. I mean, I was stealing cars when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, I was literally taking cars and going to my friend's house and stuff when I was 13, 14, 15. Like, I was doing anything I can to get a license. I was there, like, that's the first time I ever woke up in my life, I think at 7 in the morning, bro. Like, ready to go, you know what I'm saying?
It's unexplainable. Why are kids going? They don't want to drive. They don't want to.
Because they're lazy.
No, it's not
lazy.
Everything is being done for them.
Yeah,
hey, Siri.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that, too.
Yeah.
No, but not to the level of, prolonging getting your license until when you go to college or you're 20. Like, why are you waiting that long?
Dude,
like,
that's insane.
Like, I was talking to a friend about this. They're telling me that their kid didn't decide to get their license till like 21, 22 years old in college because they just didn't want it. They didn't want the license. They don't want the responsibility of having a license.
I was going to ask, what's the reason?
No, they didn't want
kids who had like a traumatic experience.
No, there's no traumatic experience. They just didn't want to have it.
Sure.
Well, you know what happens? One of them gets it, and I guess they all like depend on that guy.
Yeah.
And then they just go like, I could never, bro. Come on, man.
You don't know what a designated driver means yet.
Well, I remember. I mean, like even when I turned 16, I wanted to go. I went to a junkyard. I was like, I'm looking for cars. This guy's like, why are you here? I was like, I want a car. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a free. Got a Buick Skylark, 83 Buick Skylark. This car was a disease. It was terrible, but I felt good. Spent $1,000 on this Buick, but I was.
And then you spent $4,000 on the system inside.
No, I sold it. I sold it several months later to somebody else. But long story short, I could not wait to get behind the wheel. I was like, even after chauffeur people around, I was like, cool, man.
It was the best thing in the world. Are you kidding me? It was like unbelievable. Like I couldn't wait for a second to get my license, man.
Yeah, but it's one of the blessings that, like I said, we have as dads this day and age that we have the knowledge, we have that background of, especially for any of our kids to know if something's suspect and be like, okay, I gotta keep an extra eye on this because there's
you sniffed that out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But there's
really?
Well, the moms also help a lot because the moms are onto the trace as much as we are. Like my wife will tip me off on things, and I'll be like, okay. It's like I'm getting a tip from somewhere. I'm like, okay, let me dig into this. What's going on with this? So I think overall, as parents,
your son's looking through.
I know you. I see. You can't stand still.
So I really love this conversation because it's just genuinely, it's amazing because like we're talking about how we're going to be parents, and we are parents, especially when our kids are teenagers, how we're going to respond to them being teenagers. So
we hope. For me,
I got a little time to go.
We're not there yet.
You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm trying to learn.
And I got 2 girls.
Yeah, I'm watching my brother and trying to learn from him. But,
kids are excelling much faster. They're learning things much faster. So it's like I said, the knowledge is right in your hands. So even if it's YouTube Shorts, which I hate YouTube Shorts, even though it's like a TikTok Junior, like these kids are learning stupid things.
It's ridiculous.
So they're getting these random, hey, Dad, did you know the capital of this is? I'm like, like, what is it? Like, where are you getting this?
That's good stuff. Though. I wanna
No,
know
that's
what
a random
was.
one. Yeah, I mean, even these days, like my daughter's watching kids make slime. I don't understand that. I don't understand what they're doing,
I'm
making.
done with slime.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So
And then they go to birthdays and they get these gift bags and they got buckets of slime.
hey,
They don't know what's coming on my dining table.
I'm telling you, man, when that stuff dries, it's bad news. So
you know, here's the thing though, we have children at different ages, right? And we haven't experienced what you have, right? And we don't remember experiencing what Alex is experiencing right now. But that's the beauty of what we're doing here on Real Dad Talk is that, you know, we have our guests who have different experiences, some good, some bad, different ages, boy, girl. There's a whole variety. I mean, we've had discussions where parents have children with learning disabilities, you know, and that's a whole, like, for example, you knew about it. We never touched on it because it didn't happen to come up, but it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And that's what we invite you dads out there, get at us, let us know. We as dads want to hear about your experiences as a father because we learn from one another. So thank you, Alex. I really appreciate you coming out.
thank you, brother.
And I know you're going to handle Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny's outside just
so you got to call Dad back.
Yeah.
And then you got to go be a dad to Vinny.
I got to go call Dad back, be a dad to Vinny, go make sure he sleeps, and then I got to feed the little guy.
100.
Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show. To all our listeners out there, please check out therealdadtalk.com. Also on YouTube and on Facebook, Real Dad Talk. And lastly, on Instagram and Twitter, at The Real Dad Talk. We'll check everyone out next time.
Get at us.
See you guys. Thank you for having me.
Real Dad Talk.